Your kitchen island might be the most expensive mistake in your home. It looked incredible in the showroom. House 2024 found that design decisions made from photos, not lived use, are driving a wave of costly regrets. And then move-in day happened, and everything changed. Islands drive the highest spend and the highest regret in most kitchen remodels. Here are the 8 worst offenders, ranked by how badly they ruin the room. Number 8. High-maintenance materials and finishes. A glossy, dark island countertop's early appeal would later become the exact thing that caused the daily misery of owning it. But in the showroom, it was just staggeringly beautiful. Picture this. You walk into the kitchen showroom and there it is. A deep, charcoal-lacquered island with a waterfall edge, gleaming under perfectly calibrated showroom lighting. It looks like something out of an Architectural Digest spread. You sign the contract on the spot. And then you move in, cook your first real meal, and the fingerprints arrive. And they never leave. High-maintenance finishes are mistake number 8, but do not let the ranking fool you. For the people living with them every day, they feel like mistake number 1. Porous stones like marble and unsealed limestone absorb everything. Red wine, olive oil, lemon juice. The staining happens fast, and it happens permanently if you are not sealing the surface every 6 to 12 months without fail. Most homeowners are not doing that. Nobody mentioned it in the showroom. Glossy, dark paint is equally brutal. Every single fingerprint shows, every water ring, every drip from a cooking spoon. The island is the busiest surface in the kitchen. It takes more abuse than any other countertop in the house. People lean on it. Kids do homework on it. You prep raw chicken on it, then slice tomatoes on it 20 minutes later. It is a workhorse masquerading as a showpiece. A 2026 renovation regret article from a leading home improvement publication flagged high-maintenance finishes as the top upgrade homeowners wished they had skipped entirely. The specific complaint was consistent. The finish looked flawless at install, looked exhausted after 6 months of real use. One homeowner described spending 45 minutes every Sunday morning cleaning her honed black granite island just to get it back to presentable. That is not a kitchen. That is a part-time job. That's the kind of number that makes accountants cry. 45 cleaning minutes per week, every week, for the life of the kitchen. Chipped edges are another mechanism that gets ignored until it is too late. Soft stones and delicate lacquers chip along the edges from everyday contact. A pan set down too hard, a chair leg catching the corner. Each chip is essentially permanent unless you refinish the entire surface. Refinishing a kitchen island countertop runs anywhere from $400 to over $2,000, depending on the material, size, and contractor. The fix is straightforward. Quartz is the durable workhorse. Non-porous, scratch-resistant, low maintenance. Warm woods with an oil finish develop character rather than showing damage. Matte finishes hide fingerprints and minor scuffs instead of broadcasting them. These are not boring choices. They are smart ones. And then the homeowner made the one decision that changed everything. They chose the finish that looked best in the photo rather than the one that would survive daily life. In 6 months, they would understand exactly what this meant. The island had a finite window before the regret set in, and the clock had already started. Number 7. Islands with no outlets or badly placed outlets. This one is invisible until move-in day, and then it is a daily frustration with no cheap solution waiting for you on the other side. The island is where people want to use things. A stand mixer for weekend baking, a blender for morning smoothies, a laptop while someone else cooks dinner, a phone charging on the counter instead of dangling from a wall socket across the room. These are not luxury behaviors, they are how modern kitchens actually get used every single day. But a staggering number of islands are built without a single outlet, or they have one outlet placed in the worst possible position, on the face of the island where it is visible from the living room, or at counter height where a toaster blocks it permanently. The result is extension cords running across kitchen walkways, across the floor, across the gap between the island and the perimeter counters. That is a trip hazard. That is an eyesore. That is the exact opposite of the clean, functional kitchen you paid for. The mechanism here is simple. Outlets are planned during the rough-in electrical phase, before the island is installed, before the countertop goes down, before the flooring is finished. Once that phase is done, retrofitting outlets into a finished island means reopening walls or floors, running new conduit, and paying an electrician for a job that is now 10 times harder than it needed to be. Planning outlets during the build phase costs around $50 in materials and a small amount of additional electrician time. Retrofitting after completion regularly runs $500 or more before any patching, repainting, or flooring repair. In 2025, the design guidance on this became clear and consistent. Discrete outlets placed on the ends of the island or recessed under the overhang where they are hidden from sight lines but accessible from a seated or standing position solve the functional problem without creating a visual one. Pop-up outlets built flush into the countertop surface are another option. They disappear when not in use and appear exactly when needed. One homeowner in a 2024 renovation forum described completing a full kitchen remodel, $62,000 total, and moving in to discover the island had no outlets at all. The contractor had followed the plan exactly. The plan had simply never included them. Retrofitting 2 outlets into the finished island, including the electrical run and countertop repair, costs an additional $820. That is $800 for something that would have been essentially free during the original build. The badly placed outlet problem is almost as frustrating as no outlet at all. An outlet positioned in the middle of the island's side panel, at a height that puts the cord directly in the path of anyone walking past, creates a snagging hazard every single time someone uses it. Outlets placed too close to the sink may not meet electrical code, requiring a ground fault circuit interrupter installation that was not budgeted for. The fix is not complicated. It requires thinking about the island as a functional workspace before the concrete is poured and the cabinets are set. Ask the question early. What are we actually going to use on this island? The answer tells you exactly how many outlets you need and where they should go. Asking that question after completion costs you real money. Number 6. Inadequate or badly planned island lighting. The pendants look incredible in the design rendering. 3 oversized glass globes hanging at dramatic heights over the island, casting a warm glow across the whole kitchen. The problem is that the rendering is not real life. And in real life, those pendants are either hanging at eye level, blinding anyone who walks past, or they are hanging so high that the countertop below is functionally dark. Pendant height is one of the most frequently botched details in kitchen island design. The standard guidance, pendants hung between 30 and 36 inches above the countertop surface, exists because it was worked out through decades of real-world use. That height puts the light source above eye level for seated guests, below eye level for standing adults, and close enough to the work surface to actually illuminate it. Too low and you are staring directly into the bulb every time you look up. Too high and you have moved. Before we continue, if your kitchen plans include any of these features, you need to see the full breakdown first. The Home Design Mistake Bible covers every costly misstep in detail. Scan the code on screen or grab the link below. But here's the detail that everyone missed at the time. The number of pendants matters just as much as their height. One pendant over a 6-foot island creates a single pool of light with dark zones at either end. 2 pendants over the same island, spaced evenly, cover the surface properly. 3 pendants over a shorter island create visual clutter without meaningful additional light output. The calculation is not complicated, but it requires planning before the electrical rough-in is done, not after the ceiling is plastered. The layered lighting rule is the bigger failure behind this mistake. Good kitchen lighting works in 3 layers. General ambient light for the overall room, task lighting for specific work surfaces, and accent lighting for atmosphere. If you want proper task illumination over an island, the kind that lets you actually see what you are chopping at 9 in the evening, you need either recessed downlights positioned directly overhead or under cabinet lighting on any elevated shelf above the island. Neither of those things can be added cheaply after the fact. Style over function is the trap most homeowners fall into. Statement pendants that look spectacular in magazine spreads are designed to photograph well under professional lighting conditions. They are not always designed to illuminate a chopping board at a useful angle. The bulb type matters enormously. A decorative Edison filament bulb produces a fraction of the lumens of a proper LED task bulb at the same wattage. The fixture housing matters too. A pendant with an opaque shade throws light downward in a narrow cone, while an open or translucent shade disperses light more broadly. Fixing bad lighting after installation is not as simple as swapping bulbs. If the pendants are hung from the wrong junction box positions, moving them means reopening the ceiling, relocating the electrical boxes, repatching and repainting. A 2025 design guide from a major home renovation platform estimated that correcting pendant placement after a finished install runs between $400 and $900 per fixture when ceiling work is included. That is a significant cost for a problem that is entirely preventable at the planning stage. Everything was in place for a beautiful, functional kitchen. The homeowner just didn't know what everything was building toward. A space that looked great in photos and felt dim and frustrating to actually cook in. Number 5. Poorly planned seating and overhang. The island seats 4, according to the plan. That is what the designer said. That is what the kitchen showroom confirmed. And then the stools arrive. The family sits down for the first time, and everyone is bumping knees, staring directly at cabinet fronts, and sitting so close together that passing the salt requires a formal negotiation. Seating at a kitchen island sounds simple. It is not. The minimum standard is 24 inches of countertop width per seated person. That is, the measurement that gives each person enough elbow room to eat, use a laptop, or hold a conversation without invading the space of the person next to them. Most rushed remodels ignore this. They fit as many seats as the island length technically allows, without accounting for the fact that 24 inches is a minimum, not a comfortable target. At 24 inches, you are touching shoulders with your neighbor. At 28 to 30 inches per person, you are comfortable. Knee clearance is the other dimension that gets skipped. The overhang, the distance the countertop extends beyond the base cabinet below, determines whether seated guests have anywhere to put their legs. An overhang of less than 12 inches means there is no comfortable seating position, regardless of what stool height you choose. Legs have nowhere to go. People sit sideways, perch on the edge, or simply stop using the seating entirely. The standard recommendation for comfortable knee clearance is a minimum of 12 inches, with 15 inches being the practical target for adults. Living Etc's 2025 coverage of real homeowner kitchen complaints flagged cramped seating and awkward stool placement as among the most consistent daily frustrations reported by families who had recently remodeled. The complaint was almost always the same. The island looked spacious in the listing photos, looked functional in the design plan, and felt cramped and uncomfortable the first week of actual use. The 2026 Which Consumer Survey reinforced this finding, with poor seating cited as a core component of broader island layout frustration. Homeowners were not just unhappy with the seating in isolation, they were unhappy with the whole island experience, and the seating was where the failure was most physically felt every single day. Stool height is the third variable that compounds the problem. Counter height stools for a standard 36-inch countertop need to be between 24 and 26 inches tall. Bar height stools for a 42-inch raised bar need to be between 28 and 30 inches tall. Buying the wrong stool height for the countertop height is one of the most common post-renovation purchases homeowners make. Buying a second set of stools because the first set was the wrong height for the island they actually built. The sneaky part of this mistake is how well it hides during the planning phase. An island with a 300mm overhang and 22-inch spacing between seats looks perfectly reasonable on a floor plan. It looks great in the 3D render. It feels wrong the first time 4 adults try to sit at it simultaneously. And by that point, the island is built, the countertop is set, and fixing the overhang means replacing the entire countertop slab. Number 4. Sinks in the island that create a permanent splash zone. The island sink is one of those features that sounds luxurious in the planning stage and feels like a liability after 6 months of hosting. It is the upgrade that sells itself in the showroom and disappoints in daily use. The fundamental problem with a primary sink in the island is what surrounds it. A sink means dirty dishes. Dirty dishes mean the island, your showpiece surface, your social hub. The centerpiece of the open-plan kitchen is now permanently occupied by a stack of waiting washing up, a drippy faucet, a bottle of dish soap, and a soggy sponge. The aesthetic that justified the island's cost is gone within the first week of real use. There's a reason this story is still talked about today in design circles. The island sink creates a social inversion. The whole point of an open-plan kitchen with an island is that the cook faces the room, faces the guests, participates in the conversation while preparing food. But a primary sink in the island means the cook spends a significant portion of their time facing down into a basin, rinsing vegetables, washing pots, dealing with the debris of cooking. Guests seated at the island are now watching someone wash dishes from 18 inches away. That is not the experience anyone planned for. Badly positioned sinks compound the problem mechanically. When a sink is cut into the island countertop without adequate planning, the overhang and cutback errors create zones where water pools and grime collects. The edge of the sink cutout, if not properly finished and sealed, traps food debris and moisture. In a porous stone countertop, that moisture penetration leads to staining and, eventually, structural damage to the stone around the cut. Plumbing an island sink also adds significant cost and complexity.
Running drain lines through the floor rather than the wall requires careful planning of the floor structure, a deeper floor void than many homes have, and a longer drain run. The cost premium for an island sink over a perimeter sink, including the additional plumbing run, the drain installation, and the countertop cutout, regularly runs between $1,500 and $4,000, depending on the home's construction type. The 2025 design shift on this is clear. Secondary prep sinks in islands, small, shallow sinks used for rinsing produce or filling pots, are still considered acceptable and functional. But the primary sink is increasingly being placed back under a window on the perimeter wall. That placement gives the cook a view, contains the mess to a dedicated zone, and leaves the island surface free for prep, serving, and social interaction. One interior designer, quoted in a 2025 renovation guide, put it plainly: "The island sink is the feature clients request most often and regret most reliably." And no, I'm not making that up. Someone specific saw it coming. Designers flagged it in 2023 and 2024 with increasing urgency. Nobody listened. Number 3. Cooktops in the island without proper planning. There is a version of the island cooktop that exists in the imagination of every homeowner who has ever watched a cooking show. The chef stands at the island, facing the open-plan living space, guests gathered around, managing a beautiful gas range set flush into the marble surface. It looks effortless. It looks social. It looks like the kitchen was designed for someone who actually knows what they are doing. And then you build it, and the reality arrives. The first problem is the safety geometry. When a cooktop is installed in an island, the people seated at the seating overhang are positioned directly adjacent to open flames, splattering oil, and pan handles extending outward from the hob. In an island configuration, the hot zone faces outward toward seated guests, toward children doing homework, toward anyone leaning on the counter during a dinner party. Burns from pan handles, splatter from frying, and the general hazard of open flames in a social setting are real consequences of a layout that puts the cooking zone in the middle of the room. The ventilation problem is equally serious and significantly more expensive. A cooktop on a perimeter wall vents through a hood mounted on the wall above it, connected to a short duct run through the wall to the exterior. Straightforward, relatively inexpensive, and visually contained. That duct run is longer, more complex, and more expensive. The hood itself dominates the visual space of the kitchen, blocks sight lines from the kitchen to the living area, and creates an industrial visual weight that contradicts the open, airy quality that made the island appealing in the first place. There's a reason this story is still talked about today in design circles. In 2025, overhead extractors above island cooktops were flagged by multiple design publications as an increasingly outdated feature, one associated with the kitchen aesthetic of the early 2000s rather than current practice. The bulky ceiling-mounted hood, The complex ventilation run, the visual interruption of the open ceiling, all of it is falling out of favor precisely because it undermines the spatial quality the island was supposed to create. Grease and steam are the daily operational consequence that homeowners underestimate most. Against a perimeter wall, grease and steam rise into the hood and exit the building. In an island configuration, any failure of the extraction over an island is inherently less efficient because the hood must capture rising vapor from all four sides, means grease and steam dispersing into the middle of the open plan space, onto the ceiling, into the living area, onto the guests. The designer's 2025 consensus is consistent. Keep the island as a prep and social zone. Put the cooking against the wall. The island is where you chop, assemble, serve, and connect. The cooking happens behind you, contained, ventilated, and away from the people you invited over. Number 2. Split level and raised bar island counters. The two-tier island was everywhere in the 2000s. The lower level at standard counter height for prep work. The raised bar section at 42 inches for seating. It felt like the best of both worlds. Functional workspace on one side, social bar seating on the other. It was in every new build kitchen for a decade. It was the upgrade that signaled a serious kitchen renovation. It is now one of the features that dates a kitchen most immediately and consistently. Emma Corner, writing in 2025, described raised bar areas as features that break the flow and limit functionality, separating the cook from the guests in the exact opposite way to what the island was supposed to achieve. Instead of a single connected surface that brings people together, the split level creates a physical barrier. The raised section hides the lower prep area from seated guests. The cook works below the sightline of the people they are supposed to be connected to. The social dynamic that the open-plan kitchen was built around is undermined by the very feature that was supposed to enhance it. The ergonomics of the split level are the mechanism that makes this worse in daily use than it looks on paper. The raised bar section sits at 42 inches. That is, bar height, not counter height. The seating position is less relaxed, and the raised section itself cuts the available uninterrupted prep surface in half, because the transition point between the two levels creates an unusable zone around the height change. The 2024 to 2025 trend data is unambiguous on this. Single-level islands with generous overhangs are replacing two-tier bar layouts in renovation guides, design publications, and on platforms like Houzz and Pinterest. The single-level island at standard counter height, 36 inches, with a 15-inch overhang for seating, creates a surface that works for prep, works for casual dining, works for social gatherings, and works for the full range of tasks a kitchen island actually needs to perform. No height transition, no ergonomic compromise, no visual barrier between the cook and the room. The resale consequence is real and increasingly documented. Buyers and designers are rejecting the split-level look as a visual signal of a kitchen that has not been updated since the early 2000s. A kitchen with a raised bar island in 2025 reads as a kitchen that needs renovation, not a kitchen that has recently had one. That perception affects buyer offers in ways that are difficult to quantify, but consistently reported by real estate agents working in markets where kitchen quality drives sale prices. One homeowner described spending $12,000 on a kitchen remodel in 2019 that included a two-tier island with a raised bar. By 2024, the raised bar was the first thing every potential buyer commented on, and not positively. The quote was simple: "It makes the kitchen feel like a pub from 15 years ago." The cost to remove the raised section and refinish to a single level was estimated at $3,400. A feature that cost money to install was now costing money to remove. Number 1. Oversized islands that wreck circulation. And this is the part where things stopped being funny. The rule is not complicated. You need a minimum of 1 meter, 39 inches, of clear floor space around every side of the island. That is the measurement that allows two people to pass each other comfortably, that allows the dishwasher door to open fully without hitting the island, that allows the oven door to drop down without blocking the entire walkway. It is the minimum. Not the comfortable standard, the minimum. Most oversized islands violate this on 2 sides. Some violate it on 3. The mechanism of failure is predictable, and it happens in the same way in kitchen after kitchen. The homeowner sees a large island in a showroom or in a design photo. The island looks proportional in that space because the room around it is large enough to accommodate it. The homeowner orders a similar island for a room that is smaller. The island is installed. The homeowner moves in. And within the first week, the kitchen, which was supposed to be the social heart of the home, becomes an obstacle course. House 2024 identified the trend clearly. The push toward larger islands is real, it is driven by social media and showroom aesthetics, and it is pushing homeowners to oversize islands for rooms that cannot support them. The aspiration is understandable. The consequence is a kitchen where the island takes up so much floor space that the room around it stops functioning. The 2026 Which Consumer Survey named oversized islands with poor circulation as among the top layout regrets reported by real homeowners. Not hypothetical complaints, but documented experiences from people living with the consequences of this exact mistake. The specific scenarios they described were consistent. Opening the dishwasher while someone stands at the island means one person has to leave the room. Opening the oven door while the island is directly opposite means the oven cannot open fully. 2 people cooking simultaneously means constant negotiation of who goes where because the floor space does not allow for normal movement, which, looking back, was either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Spending $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 on a kitchen renovation and not physically measuring whether the island left enough room to open the appliances. The visual test that designers recommend is simple, and almost nobody does it before committing to an island size. Tape the island footprint on the floor before the island is ordered. Walk around it. Open the dishwasher. Open the oven. Have 2 people stand on opposite sides simultaneously. If any of those actions feel cramped with just tape on the floor, the island is too big for the space. Tape costs nothing. Resizing an installed island costs thousands. The supersized island sits at number 1 on this list because it does not just create one problem, it creates every problem simultaneously. Hosting is harder because guests and the cook are constantly in each other's way. Cooking is harder because the workflow triangle between the fridge, the hob, and the sink is interrupted by an island that sits in the middle of it. Cleaning is harder because there is less clear floor space to maneuver around. The entire room suffers. For a while, things actually seemed fine. The island looked spectacular in the listing photos, and the first dinner party felt manageable. That didn't last. The real question isn't whether your island looks good, it's whether it works for the life you actually live.